ザーボール
Charizard lets the solar beam rip. That poor Tyranitar is on the receiving end and gets one hit knocked out.
Very few Pokemon have collected just as many eye rolls as they have prize money, but Mega Charizard Y is probably the one who's managed to do that the quickest in Pokemon Champions. Typically, if a Pokemon elicits this physical reaction from your opponent seeing them in Team Preview, it's a good sign that they're pretty solid in competitive play. I mean, just think about how people react to seeing a Steve player in Smash Ultimate. It's kinda like that, but more fair and less smelly. Mega Charizard Y has managed to carve out a role in Pokemon Champions Regulation MA format so essential that it has become the face of the format itself. But just how strong is it, how should you use it, and just how long will it remain the face of the game? That's just what I want to explore today. Today, we're going to be giving a complete rundown on everything Mega Charizard Y. If this type of video does well, I plan on releasing another breakdown on key Pokemon every week, so be sure to comment down below which Pokemon you want me to do next. With a base stat total of 634, Mega Charizard Y has more than enough sheer stat numbers to make something of itself. Its stat spread of 78 HP, 104 attack, 78 defense, 159 special attack, 115 special defense, and 100 speed leaves it as a somewhat physically frail but powerful special attacker. 100 speed puts it in a speed tier above most other Pokemon, but just below important metagame staples like Garchomp, Whimsicott, Sneasler, and most Choice Scarf Pokemon. While Charizard boasts impressive stats, what puts it over the top into the very top tier of viability is its ability Drought. Drought causes Sun to be set up whenever Mega Charizard Y hits the field for the next 5 turns, or until weather is overwritten by another Pokemon. While Sun is active, not only do Fire-type attacks receive a 50% boost in power, but Water-type attacks have their damage cut in half. This means that as long as Sun is active, Mega Charizard Y is capable of tanking Water-type attacks from even the most powerful Pokemon in the game, such as Basculegion or Palafin. That boost in damage from Sun is what seriously causes Charizard Y to be considered the best Pokemon in the format. It allows for Charizard's Fire-type attacks to have a boost in power equivalent to that of a Choice Specs boost without the drawback of being locked into an attack. Basically, any Pokemon taking neutral damage from fire moves is going to be roasted in a turn or two. Mega Charizard Y's Sun Boosted Heat Wave has a chance to one-hit KO Sneasler, a Pokemon with pretty passable special bulk. Into bulkier neutral targets like Sylveon, Mega Floette, and Farigiraf, Mega Charizard Y is able to cleanly 2-hit KO them with Spread Heat Wave. This is Mega Charizard Y's greatest asset, as despite its mediocre bulk, it's able to make a big impact on a game by throwing out a single attack that can chunk everything in range of a partner Pokemon to pick up the KO. This role of being a powerful spread special attacker is something that the current Pokemon Champions metagame somewhat revolves around. Despite that, it is kind of a rare trait. Many team archetypes rely on the likes of Mega Float Eternal, Mega Frostlass, Sylveon, and Charizard Y itself to deal out consistent immediate damage to both opposing Pokemon. Pokemon Champions has a lack of Pokemon capable of dealing heavy damage in this role, due to the small item pool in the Regulation MA metagame. The lack of a Choice Specs and Life Orb means that only the Pokemon that pack the highest special attack stats in the game can deal enough damage to be worth running, thus contributing to some meta centralization. For example, Ninetales and Alolan Ninetales are both Pokemon capable of setting weather and clicking powerful spread special attacks to attempt to do the same thing as major special attackers in the game do. But due to their low overall special attack stats, even with the weather boosts, they're coming up pretty short of the damage necessary to make them worth running. The lack of the Assault Vest, an item which grants the user a 50% boost in special defense, while restricting the use of non-damaging attacks, is also responsible for the likes of Mega Charizard Y being so reliable and heavily used in tournaments. That item not currently existing in the game obviously leads to special spread damage being not only reliable, but in high demand. This video was sponsored by Red Magic. Recently, Red Magic sent me their brand new Red Magic 11S Pro, and when it comes to gaming on the go or just being a daily driver, this thing is an absolute beast. At Red Magic, they have a very simple motto, and that's win more games. You shouldn't be held back by the poor performance of your current phone when you can use the brand new Red Magic 11S Pro to ensure that you're playing at your absolute highest possible level. This phone boasts a completely flat design, meaning no pesky camera bump when you're trying to put it away in your pocket. It supports wireless charging, and it's just an overall beautiful and sleek design. But the inside is where things count. And this thing has liquid cooling. That's right, with its AquaCore liquid cooling ring, it's the only mass-produced liquid cooling solution in the industry, granting advanced heat dissipation. So instead of worrying about your phone overheating, you can focus on the game. It's rocking a Snapdragon 8 Elite Gen 5 leading version chip to run even the most intensive mobile games. It's got ultra-quiet 2400 RPM fans inside. With just the flip of a switch, you can access all your games in an instant and optimize their performance. So whether I'm playing Call of Duty Mobile, Fortnite, or even Pokemon TCG Pocket, I never have to worry about lag or slowdowns with this device. I really can't recommend this phone enough. It's an absolute beast of a gaming device, and it officially launches June 10th for $849. And thank you again to Red Magic for sponsoring this video. While its spread damage is arguably Charizard's main draw, its single target options are just as, if not more powerful. Charizard will typically run the move Weather Ball as its main attack due to its reliable damage and flexibility. Weather Ball is a 50 base power normal type attack which will change its type to match whatever weather is on the field, while also doubling in power. This means that Charizard in Sun has a reliable 100 base power fire type attack that gets boosted by Sun as well. If Rain is active, it will become a 100 base power water type move, and in Sand it becomes a rock type attack, while in Snow it becomes an ice type attack. While Weather Ball is primarily used as a fire type attack by Charizard, its ability to deal huge damage regardless of the weather makes it a very flexible option. The final move that Charizard will typically run is Solar Beam, due to the fact that it's capable of hitting rock, ground, and water type Pokemon for huge super effective damage. Solar Beam is a 120 base power special grass move which requires a turn to charge up before dealing damage. However, if Sun is active, the user will bypass this charge turn to attack immediately. This allows for Charizard to have an option into the likes of Basculegion, Tyranitar, and Garchomp, who would typically be able to resist all of Charizard's other attacks and deal with it. Despite it being a flying type, it is pretty rare for Charizard to actually run a flying move, at least in Regulation MA of Pokemon Champions. This is because it's considered to be more important to have both Heat Wave and Weather Ball for single and double target fire damage, and Solar Beam to hit Charizard's typical counters. And due to Charizard's frailty and tendency to need to fight for better board position, setting up Sun as often as possible, Protect will almost always be the final move run on Charizard. Charizard did lose access to Tailwind in Pokemon Champions, which is honestly kind of a blessing as Charizard would be broken with it, but due to this, Tailwind is never actually going to be an option on it. This isn't to say that there aren't any other movesets that Charizard Y could run. Dragon Pulse is occasionally seen as a way to hit Garchomp for more damage, and Charizard will occasionally run a flying move or Scorching Sands to deal with fringe matchups, but Charizard will almost always run the same 4 moves in Heat Wave, Weather Ball, Solar Beam, and Protect, but the final moveset is ultimately going to be determined by the team around it. Obviously, as the single most common Mega Evolution in the game, Charizard is bound to have a lot of partners that are able to synergize well with its traits, so we'll be breaking this section down by the partner Pokemon's role. Charizard's 2 main speed control partners are Whimsicott and Aerodactyl, with Whimsicott providing Charizard not only a priority Tailwind due to its ability Prankster, but also Stab on Fairy type damage off of Moonblast to allow Charizard to worry less about its Garchomp matchup. Whimsicott also has the ability to reset Sun with priority by using Prankster Sunny Day, allowing for Charizard to not have to fight for weather as aggressively as it would typically need to. Its grass typing also allows for Whimsicott to switch in on water type attacks that would normally be meant for Charizard itself. Its other best speed control partner is Aerodactyl. Aerodactyl is a 130 base speed flying rock type, meaning it's able to set up Tailwind faster than basically any other Pokemon than Whimsicott. While Aerodactyl may share Charizard's weaknesses to rock and water type attacks, it comes with its own benefits, such as access to Stab Rock Slide to beat opposing Charizards and Aerodactyls, but also a ground immunity, meaning it pairs well with Garchomp, one of Charizard's other great partners, as it doesn't need to worry about earthquake damage. But arguably, Aerodactyl's best benefit on Charizard teams is the fact that it can be ran as an alternative Mega, if the player encounters a matchup where partner Sylveon would be much better suited as the major special attack damage dealer. Mega Aerodactyl will be able to set up Tailwind faster than opposing Aerodactyls, allowing for Sylveon to go for Hyper Voice before opposing Pokemon like Garchomp or Aerodactyl could attack. Mega Charizard Y is often flanked by a partner Garchomp, as they have many different traits that synergize well with each other. Garchomp being a physically attacking ground type means that it's able to Earthquake for free next to Charizard Y without having to worry about damaging it, as Charizard Y is a flying type. This allows for the duo to hit both opposing Pokemon for not only major damage off of Sun boosted Heat Waves on the special side of things, but Earthquake on the physical side of things. Garchomp is also able to resist rock type attacks meant to KO Charizard Y, while Mega Charizard Y is able to easily resist fairy type attacks that were meant for Garchomp. Charizard is even able to one-shot problem Pokemon for Garchomp, such as Mega Frostlass, and Garchomp is able to single-handedly patch Charizard Y's awful sand matchup, as Garchomp is able to deal with not only Tyranitar, but Excadrill, who are both weak to ground type attacks. This is important as these two Pokemon can easily pick off Charizard with a single Rock Slide. Sylveon and Mega Floette both occupy a similar role on Mega Charizard teams, with the main difference between them being that Floette will be ran as an alternate Mega option, where Sylveon is typically ran alongside Charizard itself. Charizard is capable of protecting Sylveon from Steel-type attackers like King Gambit or Mega Scizor. However, Charizard will basically act as just a threat to these Pokemon to prevent them from being brought 100% of the time against Mega Floette if the player decides to go for the Mega Floette option over Mega Charizard. Basically, Mega Charizard Y on this team is a big "don't bring that Steel-type" sign, cause I might just melt it. Venusaur is a Pokemon who's been paired with Charizard for as long as it's had access to Chlorophyll. With Chlorophyll active, Venusaur hits a speed tier far above its typical 80 base speed stat, with it being capable of outspeeding even Mega Aerodactyl. Typically, Charizard players will use Venusaur to play bodyguard against problem Water-type and Rock-type Pokemon that don't want to have to take a Leaf Storm from Venusaur, but it can also provide Ground-type coverage and hit Fairies for super effective damage off of its Stab Sludge Bomb. That being said, it's most famous for its access to one of the fastest sleep powders in the game. At just 75 accuracy, this is considered quite the gamble, but it can be well worth it in the right matchup, with this move being used on our Salt Booty's first place winning team from the Indianapolis Regional Championships. While Sleep has been nerfed to only last 2 turns in Pokemon Champions, Charizard is the type of Pokemon that only needs 1 extra turn of impunity to be able to turn the tide of a match. Of course, no Pokemon is without its weaknesses, and Charizard is most famous for its notorious ×4 rock weakness that has somewhat warped the entire metagame around it. I mean, just about every team has a Rock Slide user somewhere on it, whether it be a Rock Slide Aerodactyl, Rock Slide Garchomp, or a Rock Slide freaking Arbok. I don't know, man. They're all options, so let's talk Charizard counters. Obviously, like I said, Charizard is weak to Rock-type attacks, with it being easy to one-shot it with them. The hardest counter to Charizard Y in the game is probably Tyranitar, with Tyranitar not only being able to hit Charizard with a ×4 super effective Stab Rock-type attack, but it being able to set up Sand to remove Weather, then double down by Mega Evolving to overwrite Sun again on command. It enables an entire team archetype that feels extremely anti-Big Orange Dragon. I mean, putting his Sandrush Excadrill next to this thing and spamming Rock Slide just seems spiteful and frankly annoying. Please bring back Covert Cloak, that really fixed this. Some other rock types that have risen in usage as a way to deal with opposing Charizard are Glimmora and Kleavor. Glimmora tends to hold the Focus Sash, with it being able to use Power Gem to remove Charizard from play permanently and immediately, with also being able to deal with Floette, Sylveon, Whimsicott, Aerodactyl, and a number of other very common Charizard partners. If it gets hit by a physical attack, it also gets to set Toxic Spikes immediately thanks to its ability Toxic Debris, meaning that it gets long-term value in the match. Speaking of setting hazards, Kleavor is the latest Charizard metagame development, with it having access to Stone Axe not only one-shot Charizard and Aerodactyl, but deal massive damage to most Pokemon off of its sharpness boosted attack. But it even sets up Stealth Rocks every time it uses this move, meaning that Charizard, if it switches in on the Stealth Rocks, will take 50% of its health and damage. These might sound like niche options that are pretty out there, but Kleavor and Glimmora have already proven themselves, with Kleavor even managing to take both first and second place in recent Victory Road tournaments. Obviously, in order to effectively deal with Charizard Y, it is important to equip your team with a Resistor 2 to Fire-type attacks, and the 2 Pokemon who come to mind most in this metagame are Garchomp and Incineroar. Garchomp tends to be a solid Charizard Y-check, as not only is it able to deal with Sun-boosted Heat Waves, but it can one-shot Charizard Y with either Rock Slide or Rock Tomb, as it's a ×4 super effective move coming off of Garchomp's base 130 attack stat. Meanwhile, Incineroar takes a completely different route to counter Charizard Y. Incineroar isn't a hard counter to Charizard Y, but its ability to easily soak up hits from opposing Charizard and reposition and pivot with Fake Out and Parting Shot means that it becomes infinitely easier to deal with a Charizard Y team if you have an Incineroar on your team to enable yourself. Rain Pokemon are clearly solid answers to Charizard due to the fact that they, well, turn off Sun. Pelipper can not only set up Rain to cut Charizard's damage in half, but it's able to Tailwind up to allow partner Pokemon like Archaludon to outspeed Charizard and go for the one-shot with Electroshot. Politoed plays pretty similarly, only it doesn't have as many tools as Pelipper and is more of an offensive option. Finally, while these are not true Charizard counters, strong physical attackers do need to be considered. Charizard Y has pretty mediocre physical bulk, meaning it's pretty easy to get it in range of moves like Kingambit's Sucker Punch or Basket Legion's Aqua Jet. Again, they're not true counters, but the ease of fitting them onto a team and getting them into position to pin Charizard shouldn't be overlooked when planning for the matchup. Now that Charizard's best partners and counters have been identified, we can get into how Charizards are typically trained. There's two camps of Charizard players, and to be honest, one of them is kind of objectively correct and the other one is just lazy. The lazy players run the max speed, max special attack Charizards. These run 2 defense, 32 special attack, and 32 speed with a modest nature, Heat Wave, Weather Ball, Solar Beam, and Protect. The advantage to running a Charizard like this is the maxed out damage potential, allowing for an easier time to get things in range of other Pokemon to KO them, and the fact that you'll likely be outspeeding basically every other Charizard, except for those freaks that run a timid nature for some reason. Many Garchomp also currently opt to run slower, bulkier sets, meaning that these Charizards are likely to outspeed most Garchomps and deal decent damage off a Solar Beam. But they do lack that wiggle room for error and safety net that the other camp of Charizard players opt for. The other camp of player is the bulky Charizard player. Bulky Charizards typically calc to try to live non-stab rock moves from the likes of Garchomp, with this also coming with the benefit of Charizard being less likely to be knocked in range of a Kingambit Sucker Punch. These Charizard provide a better matchup into most physical attackers and more room for error than a fast Charizard, but they also rely far more on support Pokemon like Fake Out Incineroar and Tailwind Whimsicott to be put into optimal position to do their job. An example set is 24 HP, 14 defense, 7 special attack, and 21 speed. This Charizard is not only able to usually tank a Rock Slide from Adamant Max Attack Garchomp, but still packs the damage to chunk opposing Pokemon and outspeed Adamant Max Speed Excadrill. One of the more fringe moveset options on Charizard Y is Helping Hand. While this move may seem weird on a Pokemon meant to deal damage, it does enable for partner Pokemon like Garchomp to deal more damage off of Earthquake if you're put into a position where Charizard would not like to get Sucker Punched by a Kingambit, and it even allows for Charizard to Helping Hand a Leaf Storm from modest max special attack Venusaur, which under Sun will not only outspeed, but one-shot opposing Mega Aerodactyl, which is widely considered to be one of the better Charizard counters in the metagame. Along with these movesets, I've actually left a few sample Charizard Y teams in the description for anyone looking to pick it up. So just how strong is Mega Charizard Y exactly in the current metagame of Pokemon Champions? I'd say it's pretty objectively the best Mega in the game. Mega Charizard Y may be the kind of Pokemon that causes many players to roll their eyes every time they see one, but that's for good reason. It's uniquely capable of enabling a number of teams and Pokemon while being able to fill an extremely niche role in the Regulation MA metagame. This might change with time as we see more Pokemon get introduced into the game alongside more items, but Mega Charizard Y is a Pokemon that has historically succeeded due to its sky-high stats and unique traits. But what do you think about Mega Charizard Y? Do you think it's broken or just the backbone of the format? Let me know in the comment section below. If you guys enjoyed, leave a like, subscribe, turn on notifications. Make sure you guys check out my Patreon, Discord, all the playlists on screen. All of that helps me out quite a bit. And if you guys want to support me further, you can become a YouTube member or a Patreon, giving you access to my Discord channel where we talk about Pokemon, team build, and host tournaments every Monday. I'm also going to be uploading Patreon exclusive videos starting this week, so you'll get access to those. You'll see them pop up in your feed if you want to join the Patreon or become a YouTube member down the road. With that, thank you so much for watching. If you guys enjoyed, leave a like, do all that, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye.